Good evening, everybody. I'm Cynthia Hardy. I'm the Senior Vice President here at Columbia Housing, Senior Vice President of Communications. I will be moderating this afternoon's American Rescue Plan Don't Leave Your Money on the Table virtual workshop. I am honored to participate in today's important workshop and really honored to welcome you to the forum today. Now, our session today is going to last up to 90 minutes, and we might get wrapped up just a little bit early. We do have an hour and a half set aside for today's workshop, though. Also, we are recording our presentation, as Mrs. Matthews mentioned to you a moment ago, so that others can watch it later, and so we think that's a really big plus. Also, following our workshop today, we're going to publish the transcript and the summary of the questions and answers for people that you might want to share the information with. Now, make sure to mute yourself if you're not speaking, because we are able to hear what you say if you aren't muted. And we've all been there when we haven't known that we weren't muted. At this time, I'd like to mention that Lee McRoberts and I have worked together on this. Lee handles the technical end of our operation. And Lee, I know there may be some technical things you want to make sure we're aware of.
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. We're excited about the seminar. Just a couple things to make your experience easier. Any questions that you may have regarding the presentation or about the information that we're covering, if you would put those in the chat box, you can find that at the bottom of your screen and the ribbon underneath where your picture is. It says chat. And if you send us the questions that you have through that, we'll make sure that those get sent to the right person and answered during the course of the show. One other thing to make your viewing experience a little easier, there's a view button in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. If you change that to speaker view, it will just show you who is speaking or the shared screen at the time. Thanks, Cynthia.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Today's order of the presentation is as follows. Our overview is going to be presented by our CEO, Ivory Matthews. After Mrs. Matthews, our special guest, Antjuan Seawright, is going to spend a couple of minutes talking about why Ms. Javis's presentation today is so important to all of our communities. Then our Chief Operating Officer, Yvonne DeBean, will introduce Kadena Javis, who's our presenter for this evening. During Ms. Javis's presentation, she's also going to incorporate comments from Melissa Lindler with the Office of Business Opportunities from the City of Columbia. And she'll also incorporate comments from National CBS News analyst Antjuan Seawright, who's with us today. Now, throughout Kadena's presentation, we're going to field questions. So if you have questions, as Lee mentioned, please list them there in the chat box, and we're going to answer those for you. It's my pleasure now to introduce Ivory Matthews. Many of you all know that Mrs. Matthews took over as the interim executive director in July of 2019. And then in July of 2020, Mrs. Matthews accepted the permanent position as Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director of Columbia and KC Housing Authorities. She's got more than 20 years of experience working for housing authorities and the affordable housing industry in other parts of the country. She's highly regarded for her philosophy for putting residents first in everything that we do here at Columbia Housing. Mrs. Matthews will now provide today's overview. Mrs. Matthews.
Thank you, Cynthia. First, allow me to thank each of you for your interest in Columbia Housing's American Rescue Plan, Don't Put Your Money on the Table, excuse me, Don't Leave Your Money on the Table virtual workshop. We are so delighted to see that more than 200 people were interested enough to sign up for today's workshop. The American Rescue Plan has so many benefits for our families. We recognize at Columbia Housing that many of our families are employed, entrepreneurs, overseeing small businesses. And as you will hear soon, there are many more individuals that fall within other categories that the American Rescue Plan also benefits. We want our families and people in the surrounding community to have this important information to receive these valuable benefits. To share with us the financial benefits of the American Rescue Plan and what it means to the economic stability of your family and or the economic stability of your business, we will hear from two subject matter experts, as Ms. Cynthia mentioned, Kadena Javis, who's the owner of Javis Financial Services, and CBS News analyst Antjuan Seawright. So Antjuan Seawright owns Blueprint Strategy, a public relations and lobbying firm based here in South Carolina. But Antjuan's footprint is a national one. After a 3-year stint as a regular voice on Fox News, as an opposite voice to the conservative guest on the national show Fox and Friends, he was offered a more high-profile position with the CBS News Sunday show Face the Nation. He is a friend and trusted partner to Columbia Housing, and we have asked Antjuan to just say a few words to us before we introduce Ms. Kadena Javis. Antjuan.
Well, thank you, Madam President. And let me say what my mother and father taught me to be the 2 most important words in the English language. And those words are thank you. Thank you all for joining, all 200 plus of you for this. I used to say important conversation, but I will probably change that word now to consequential because we know how consequential these conversations are, both to the present and to the future, and certainly to my friend Melissa Lindler and all she's doing for the city of Columbia. Thank you, as always, for your friendship and for what you're doing to make sure our community is informed, engaged, and of course, the soul sister herself, Cynthia Hardy, whose job, I think, whose calling is to make sure that our community is not just informed, but empowered. And so we appreciate you. Look, we made a mistake when the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2009 because it did so many wonderful things, but nobody knew what the hell it did. And so my grandmother used to say there's no education in the second kick of the mule. And so that's why these conversations like this are so important. And I said to Cynthia offline some time ago, I said to her that the truth of the matter is scripture teaches us that my people perish due to the lack of knowledge. And so this bill that was signed into law by President Biden, I'm sorry, will do more for our community, perhaps than any other piece of legislation signed into law in my lifetime. And that's why we have to have these conversations. And if you're like me, and you spend all of your time trying to encourage people to get out and vote and tell them they need to show up and vote, and people will look around at the election and say, well, I voted, but nothing really changed. Well, this conversation is living proof that when you show up and vote for the right people and you vote in large numbers, change can happen and change will directly benefit you. And I'm going to get deep into the conversation a little later with Ms. Javis about some of the specifics of how this piece of legislation is a direct result of people showing up voting in the last election.
Thank you so much, Antjuan. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bean.
Thank you, Mrs. Matthews, and thank you also, Antjuan. I appreciate you imparting those words of wisdom from your grandmother. It sounds like she was a very wise woman. I have also been looking forward to today's American Rescue Plan Don't Leave Your Money on the Table virtual workshop. As we all know, information is power. When we are informed, we are liberated to make impactful and economically advantageous decisions. With that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce tax expert Kadena Javis. Kadena Javis owns one of the most successful small businesses in the Midlands, Javis Financial Services. Javis Financial Services provides payroll and accounting tax, filing services, credit repair services, financial management services, and they can help you get on and stay on the right side of the Internal Revenue Service. One reason Kadena is so good at advising on the federal side is because she started her business after a very successful stint at the IRS. Columbia Housing is excited to have her here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kadena Javis.
Thank you, Ms. Bean. I am so delighted to be here. And thank you, Mrs. Matthews and Mrs. Hardy as well. This is a wonderful platform to educate our community, to make sure that no one leaves these economic injury and income payments behind and on the table. A lot of them have heard of them as EIP. We've received 1, 2, and 3. of those economic payments. And so we're going to talk about the American Rescue Plan today. And I hope that the 200 listeners that's registered spread the word to 200,000 more listeners, because as we know, sharing is caring, and everyone is not savvy enough to be online. And so we like to hear, and we all know that the most marketable way to share news is word of mouth when we talk to our sisters and brothers in our community. So are we ready to begin, please?
We are.
Hey, Miss Javis, before you start, can I just say one thing? I know you refer
Yes.
to it as the American Rescue Plan, but Cynthia knows this more so than anybody else. I call it the American Survival Act, because this Kamala bucks and these Biden cash has meant life or death for a lot of people, including small businesses around this country.
Yes, sir. It very well has, in the personal lives and the business lives of the Americans who are U.S. citizens. And definitely, if you are a U.S. citizen and you have a social security number, we are definitely the ones that are getting this money to impact our families. So what we want to cover first is we want to talk about what is the American Rescue Plan. President Biden named it the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Next slide. Just so as Ms. Bean announced to you, I am an accountant and chief financial officer at Javis Tax Service. And after the presentation, you can reach me at javistax.com, and there's our number, 803-419-1001. So please take notes, and we are available after the presentation. Next slide. These are just some other things that we do. We're not your ordinary accounting office in Columbia, South Carolina. We have a drive-through drop-off service because we are in a local old bank, and then we are also open year-round to service you in whatever you need. We don't close our doors April 15th. And those are just some other services that we offer. Next slide. Next slide. All right, so what we're here today to talk about, what is the American Rescue Plan? As we all know, March 16th of 2020 changed all our lives, no matter what color, creed, origin we were from. And I know that date because I have children, and that was the date that they came home to go into the e-learning, virtual learning world that we all had to adjust to. But the ARP, which is known as the American Rescue Plan, it is going to deliver economic relief to all families. There currently has been 3 rounds of EIP, known as the Economic Impact Payments. Economic 1 payment was $1,200 per taxpayer, plus a $500 payment for dependents under 17. Then we had our economic payment number 2. Number 2 came in either December of 20 or January of 21. That one was $600 for every taxpayer, and except those over the age of 17. Then we had our economic payment number 3. That one was the recent one, the last one, after President Biden was elected and inaugurated, of $1,400 to every U.S. citizen with a Social Security number that filed taxes in 2018 and 2019. Now, where I want to go back and make sure, some people do not file taxes. They don't have to file taxes legally if they don't meet some minimum dollar amounts on their W-2s, or if they receive Social Security payments. And there's a number of the Social Security payments up to a certain dollar amount that is non-taxable, unless you have other taxable income. But if you only receive Social Security, a lot of those taxpayers do not file tax returns. if you do not file tax returns, what the government, and this was under President Trump's administration, they implemented, Congress came up with a non-filer tax return, where you have to submit your name, your social security number, a current address, and if you have a direct deposit banking information. Those were the only 4 components that had to be submitted to the Treasury so that you could receive your economic injury payments. Now, you had to file those electronically, or you could have chosen to snail mail, but I will tell you now, during the pandemic, the IRS was closed for 135 days. They had to get trailers to put mail in while their employees were working from home. So your mail, if you put it in the mail, then it still may be in that trailer, because we're told that it's going to take them about 2 years to open all of that mail that they received for the 135 days that they were closed. So it won't be unseen, unheard that it may take 9 months to a year for the Treasury to get all of that mail open. So we recommend e-filing, and we recommend doing direct deposit. Treasury will mail you a check, but we recommend direct deposit is the easiest, fastest, and safest and secure way to get those economic payments. And it is a total of $3,200 if you're just one single person, because that's your $1,200 from the EIP number 1, $600 from your EIP number 2, and $1,400 from your EIP number 3. If you have,
can I ask you a question? Kadena,
yes,
can I ask you a
ma'am.
question?
Yes.
So you're saying EIP payments, but we say stimulus. Is it the same thing?
It's the same thing, but if you get your letter in the mail, it's gonna say economic injury payments with President Biden's signature, and he'll tell you where you should have received your 1,400 payments. But yes, your stimulus payments, I'll change gears and say stimulus payments. If you hadn't received those stimulus payments, or maybe you received 2 out of the 3, then you still need to, there's a form that can be filed on the 1040, and there's a worksheet called the Recovery Rebate Credit Form. And that form will allow us to retroactively get either the 12 or the 600 if you didn't receive both, and when you file your 2020 tax return. Okay.
So I'm not out of the woods. If I didn't file, if I didn't get my money, if I got like the 1,200 and didn't get the 6 and the 14, I can still go back and get it?
Yes, we will get you that $600 once we file that recovery rebate credit, and then that will initiate, Mrs. Hardy, the $1,400 that the last EIP, the last stimulus payment that came out. And then if you have dependents, then the funds that were for their age group, if you miss those monies, or say that you adopted or you had a baby at, after we got the first 1,200 March, you had a baby September, you're able to go back and get that $500 or $600 for that dependent. So that is so important that everyone knows that if you did not get it, or you had a life event change, that it, as Antjuan, I like when he say help is on the way. Help is here for the American people. Next slide. Now I see I saw a chat pop up there from Sparkle, but it went away.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Okay.
You want to take your questions as they come in?
No, well, whichever way, that is fine. We can take them as
Sparkle
they come
was
in.
just saying, so people living off of their Social Security, can they use their non-filer form?
Yes, definitely. It is created for those on Social Security, because if that is your only source of income, you do not have to file an income tax return, but you need to file a non-filer. Even though they did go back in the beginning, they said you did have to file it. Then they said you didn't have to file the form. So if you did not receive your payments, then you do need to file the form. Just like anything else, data and technology can fail, just as with me trying to get on Zoom today. Technology is not 100% effective at all times. So if you slid through the cracks of Social Security, because Social Security Administration, if you received your payments direct deposit, however you get it monthly, that is how you were supposed to get those payments. but not every Social Security recipient received their monies. So they need to seek assistance with getting that so that they can have those funds, because it is theirs.
Marisa wants to know what happens if she received the first and second file, or if someone that you know received the first or second payment, but didn't get the third.
All right, so to get the third one, then we need to file a 2020 non-filer tax return for her. And then those funds of $1,400 will come in direct deposit if she has a checking account, or she would receive a live check from the Department of Treasury for her $1,400.
And I got one more question before you go back to what you're saying.
Okay.
Terry said, am I to understand that if a woman gave birth this month, she can file a recovery rebate to get the last stimulus payment?
If she had a baby this month, which would be May of 2021. So she would not be able to get those funds until she filed her taxes in 2022. Because we still gonna be reconciling the 2021 $1,400 when we file our taxes in 2022. Right now, the main focus is the recovery rebate credit will only get you your $1,200 or your $600 or the $500 for the dependents. But when she goes to file her taxes January of 2022, then we'll be doing the recovery rebate for anything that was missed in 2021.
I was about to ask you, so the reason not now for the 14 is because we got it on this side on 2021.
That is correct. And the form has not been created for 2021 for the recovery rebate credit yet. So you can't amend it because the form has not even been created.
I don't want to get ahead of you, but I got a burning question.
Go ahead, I like it.
People have heard that you help homeless people and incarcerated people, and formerly incarcerated people get the whole $3,200. Is that true?
It is true. It is true. Our office is located at 7171 Two Notch Road. And so if anyone's from Columbia, they know the demographics of where we're located by Columbia Mall. And so there have been times where they sleep on our stoops or just walking in our parking lot, and we make friends with them because we're all in this community to live together. And one of the first questions we asked them were, first of all, do you have health insurance if you don't have Medicaid? So we also help enroll them in Obamacare. And then if they have not gotten their stimulus payments, we also assist them with that. And most of them do not have a permanent address. You cannot use the bus stop as an address, Cynthia. And, you know, I know it's near and dear to me. One of my homeless people told me, she said, let me go to Lowe's and wash up and I'll be back, because she didn't want to come in the office in the way she was. And I respected that. And so when she came back from Lowe's washing up, we did what we had to do for her. She had her ID. You don't have to have a driver's license, but you do need to have a physical ID. And she had a copy of her Social Security card. And she is allowed, we let her use our physical address here. When her checks came, then she could go right over to the First Citizens Bank with her ID and cash her checks.
Wow.
And for those that have been incarcerated, once they get out, you know, there are social programs that help them. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. And so their family members will let them know that they know of someone that can help them get the funds that, you know, that are theirs, because they are US citizens. And just because of their life circumstances, that doesn't mean they're not supposed to have it. And it can be a game changer. Now, some of them use the funds to go stay in the American Stays Suites Hotel, where they pay, you know, weekly, but that keeps them from living outside. And also, we also give them some other resources with United Way, calling 211, that gives them resources, as well as some of the 12 local homeless shelters that we have here in Columbia.
The questions are coming from everywhere, Kadena.
All right, well, let's hold them. Let's go over this next slide, and then we'll go back to some questions. All right. So again, what is in the American Rescue Plan? So the American Rescue Plan provides $21.6 billion for states, territories, and their local governments. The monies are also going to assist households that are unable to pay rent and utilities due to the COVID-19 crisis. The plan also ensures paid leave for anyone who may need it. The plan also extends unemployment insurance last year, the federal government dollars came in and taxpayers were able to get $600 of extra federal unemployment money. And then after that exhausted, then it went to $300, in which it's federally until September 4th, Labor Day of 2021. But from my understanding, in the state of South Carolina, we may be cutting those funds off. Our governor said June 30th would be the end of it for the state of South Carolina, but still the federal funds are available until Labor Day weekend, which is less than 90 days away. So things are looking up with this pandemic. That's a year and a half in, but funds are still available. If you have not gotten yours or only gotten a portion of what you think you should have gotten, please seek out help and we will help you get those funds. Also, another part of it, health insurance premiums were lowered. If you are in the marketplace, we have saved taxpayers $80 to $200 per month on their premiums in this American Rescue Plan. That is awesome. That's an extra trip to the grocery store. If you got a household with 4 kids like we do. And actually because I'm self-employed, we're in the marketplace. And so our payments went from $400 to $200 once Biden, the American Rescue Plan, when we went in to see if we could review our plans to see if anything changed in the same plan, but we saved $200. So if you have an insurance agent, or if you don't, we at Javis Tax Service can enroll you and get you, or also re-enroll you to get you a cheaper plan. And Obamacare is open now to August the 15th. They extended it to August the 15th. So if you are underinsured or not insured, you can get healthcare insurance now through August the 15th. Evictions and foreclosures. Last I read last week, it was $12 million out there with the ERA, the Emergency Rental Assistance. If you are behind in your rent because you have been laid off and you're on unemployment, there is help out there under this American Rescue Plan. I've had landlords come in the office. They're furious because their tenants are not paying monies, but some of the tenants don't know about the application. Some of the tenants, everybody doesn't watch the news. And that's why I said, I hope that these 200 people that are online share it and it becomes in the ears of 200,000 people, that there's money out there for evictions, foreclosures with landlords, as well as the last part of this American Rescue Plan, funding for the vaccine that is saving lives. As we know, over 500 million people plus are gone because of COVID-19.
Ms. Javis,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Javis, if I can add some background color to this slide, because perhaps this might be the most pivotal slide in your presentation. And I know you said a lot of people don't watch the news. I hope if they do and they watch CBS. Let me just say that for the record. And then on Sunday morning, they watch Cynthia Hardy's show and watch Fox.
On point, yes.
But just adding some background color to it, because when that $1.9 trillion number was put out in the atmosphere, the Republican lawmakers were nervous and raising hell about it, and other people was like, "That's a lot of money. What could all that money be used for?" Well, let me just add a little bit of color to this. $130 billion to reopen our schools safely all across the country. We know how important it is to have kids in school. We know how important learning in person is for our kids. And we also know that meant providing money for Wi-Fi so people can get access to the internet for those, for whatever reason, who cannot get back to school. That was $28.6 billion in relief for restaurants and bars to meet payroll. That also included $22 billion in emergency small business loans and payroll protection grants for small businesses. I know we have Melissa Lindler here, and she can tell you how that money can and has trickled down to the city of Columbia, but that's critical. And what the administration did was prioritize Black and minority businesses, Black, brown, and women-owned businesses, to make sure they are aligned to get them. You mentioned state and local government, $350 billion to state and local government so they can do the essential services that local government provides. That's critical. And guess what? the administration came out just last week and said, we're not going to tell them what you can and cannot use this money for. It belongs to you. The state of South Carolina alone will get $2.1 billion with a B to be used however it wants to help with the function of government. You want to talk about colleges and universities? Because I do too. $40 billion to colleges and universities, including $3 billion for historical Black colleges and universities. That's a lot of money, and that literally means survival for a lot of our institutions, HBCUs in particular. $25 billion in rental assistance, $13.5 billion in healthcare services for veterans, and $50 billion for vaccine distribution. And that is just scratching the surface, Ms. Javis, and putting background color on the slide in terms of what is actually in the bill, how much money will trickle down, not to mention some of the other grants that we have benefited from in the state of South Carolina, like DSS. I know Cynthia Hardy had them on their program twice here in the past few months, when they were encouraging people to change their address so their kids can get the SNAP card. So for those who have children and they can buy food for their children based on a SNAP card from a federal grant. And then it was just the other day, money for seniors. I think it's up to $25 voucher to help buy fresh fruit and veggies from local farmers. That is also the benefit from a federal grant that our Department of Social Services has received. And Lord knows the Department of Education has so much money, they do not even know how to spend it. And that does not even include part of the $2.1 billion that's come down to the state of South Carolina rescue plan. So there's so much out there. And I know Jim Clyburn was really loud of making sure that we had the $80 billion set aside for our farmers, in particular Black farmers, because we all know when America is on fire, when America is warm, Black communities are on fire. And our farmers have suffered heavily as a result of this pandemic. And so $80 billion is in that plan for our Black farmers. And so there's so much more into it, but I really wanted to add some background color to this slide so people can know what dollars exist out there, how much, and what you need to tap into.
Wow, that is
Kadena,
interesting and awesome. Thank you for those numbers, Antjuan. Yes, ma'am.
Kadena, with regards to the Black farmers and the fact that the federal government is now going back and paying their debt. There are a lot of our folks that farm that may not, I don't know, they're ranchers, they grow things, but they may not, may not call themselves farmers. And what I'm wanting to make sure is that those individuals are eligible as well. So, Antjuan, do you know anything about that? Kadena, do you know anything about that?
Well, I'll say this. I know they should probably reach out to the local Department of Ag and kind of get this together. But I would say this, Cynthia, much like the small business scenario for a lot of people, it's more than just going to vistaprint.com and getting your business cards or growing some cabbage and beans in your backyard. We have to learn our community to make sure we get our paperwork together. And that includes getting necessary paperwork, because if you're a local farmer, you can actually benefit twice. You can benefit from the ag money that exists out there, but also you're still considered a small business. And so there are many ways you can benefit if you're a local farmer, but you have to have your paperwork together. And that's why I'm so glad you all have included Melissa Lindler in this conversation to help perhaps mold and shape what that looks like with getting your LLC and filing the necessary paperwork so you can be a small business and register and benefit from some of these programs, because they're not just going to hand you out the money because you have a lawn service and you got your business cards from vistaprint.com. You really have to have your paperwork together.
Okay, and we're working y'all to get Melissa on the line.
Okay.
We had a little bit of technical difficulty, but we're working that out because
I'm here.
there she is.
I am
Hey,
here.
Melissa,
Hey.
we've been talking about you the whole time. Kadena and Antjuan Seawright have called your name a couple of times, talking about the good you're doing
About the great things of the city.
Awesome. We are working hard.
Awesome. That is awesome, Antjuan, that you said Department of Agriculture, because I do serve a farmer in Blackville, South Carolina, and I know besides the pandemic, every year, if there is bad weather, not enough rain, then he's able to get funds from Department of Agriculture that takes care of what he would have made.
It is, and we need to we probably need to mute ourselves if we're not talking.
I'm sorry, that was me.
Melissa.
It's okay. But just to the listeners on the call, that if you know someone who is a farmer, like Antjuan said before, they are a small business, as well as the Department of Agriculture is there 365 days a year for those sharecroppers that crop all our fresh fruits and vegetables that we receive in our state of South Carolina and all the 50 states. And so when we have bad weather and disaster storms that wipe out, they are able to get those funds to continue to live and try to recrop the next season. And so now with the small business, them being affected with the pandemic, they're able to, what we'd say, double dip, but it's a plus because that is hard labor and that is hard work when you're growing the fresh fruits and vegetables for us. It's not processed, and those are the things that we need to live and stay healthier. So Cynthia, I think we wanted to answer a couple questions, maybe 3.
Okay, I appreciate that. I know you want to get to your slides, but a couple.
Okay.
This lady has written, and she actually, Lee McRoberts sent it to me. It's from Miss Shannon Rose. She said, I wasn't sure if we were to submit questions for the seminar, but I do want to go ahead and do this. She said she's wondering about getting financial help for an elder. And her mother's 73 with multiple sclerosis, and she has other health issues too, and she lives with her. And as of late, she says she's requiring more care and having some, memory issues as well. And she's the only child, no other family members to assist. Is there a way that she could get some kind of financial consideration, either to care herself for or have someone come in, or to take her mother to maybe like an adult daycare? Are there funds in the American Rescue Plan to pay for that?
Okay, Antjuan, I'm gonna throw that one to you.
Now, Kadena, under the
I have myself muted. Yes, there is money in the rescue plan for seniors. What we need to figure out, Ms. Javis, is where it's tucked at. But I do know there's money in the rescue plan for our seasoned folks out there, and we know they need help. I know there was some money set aside for nursing homes and those kind of facilities. But individually, I do believe there's some money there. We just need to find out where it's tucked at.
Okay.
And Kadena, suppose it's a dependent.
Okay, now I was just going to say, now once she filed her tax return, she is able to carry her dependent mother so that she can be head of the household. If she is providing 6 months, if she's with her six months or more out of the year, she's providing 50% more of her upkeep. And in the relationship, that is her mother. So the dependent, that can be a dependent for her, but I know she's looking for something right now. She's not looking for something at tax time. And what I want to share with her is maybe Dr. Macy contact information, because Dr. Macy has a lot of information, our geriatric specialist. And I know for me, who's caring for my 71-year-old mother, United Way has given me all kind of resources. For mother, she's gotten a roof on her home. She's had her bathroom redone that was made handicap accessible through HomeWorks, the grants that HomeWorks offer for the disabled. And if you just call United Way, which is either pound 211 or star 211, or it may just be 211, and you let them know what you need, and they will get you to the agency and to the numbers of those people that can help you with everything, with utility bills, her rent, or whatever. If you need a nurse to come in, they'll get you with a social worker that'll come out and assess how much she's able to care for herself, or how maybe you can get some care 3 or 4 days out the week to come in. So I do want to share with you, the United Way is an awesome resource for you to call to get some information to assist you on some things with your mother. But as far as on the tax side, you are able to carry your mother legally if she doesn't have income and you're her financial source and she lives with you, you are able to carry her as a dependent. And then if you had to pay someone, you are able to write that off and get dependent care credits for her. So most people think of dependent care credits as being just for children, but it's not just for children. It's also for those who are disabled as well.
We'll
Next
put the
slide,
United
please.
Way, we'll put the United Way information in the chat and the Dr. Macy Smith information in the chat.
All right, awesome.
Mr. McRoberts has already put it in there.
Next slide. Oh, okay.
Sean Scott had a question. If a previously incarcerated individual were to go to Ms. Javis's office for assistance with getting their EIP funds, is there and I think it cut off, but I think they were going to ask, is there a fee?
There is a fee. The normal fee for filing normally is about $225, but due to this situation and the pandemic and those that do not have a job or income, it is a very reduced fee of $95, and that fee can be taken out of your refund once you receive it. So we are working with those individuals on that end and on assisting them with getting it. If they can't pay us anything up front or deposit, then when the funds do come in, then they can have the amount, the flat fee, $95 is all we're charging. And that's for all three of their economic payments, Cynthia. So it's almost like, you know, you're getting 3 years of taxes done for $95, but we want taxpayers, we want our U.S. citizens to get this money and not be like, well, because if you go to, I'm gonna be honest, if you go to the franchises, they're not gonna look at it the same way as a small business owner. They're gonna, this is what they charge for what they do, and that is what the fee is gonna be. But we have more leeway being a, you know, small minority owned company, and we're not ran by franchise rules. So that is our rule, what we're doing for our community.
Kadena, do you mind
Next
if I
slide,
ask
Lee.
Melissa? Kadena, do you mind if I ask Melissa Lindler if she wants
Oh,
to have a comment right now since she's joined us?
I
All
do,
right,
and I apologize. I'm multitasking as many of you are as well. I just want to reiterate, and I do apologize if I missed the link earlier that was sent, but I do want to reiterate the American Rescue Plan. There's money going to every local government here in our state. Make sure you're aware of how those dollars are going to be spent, how they're planning to use those dollars, because you can have some input. So attend your council meetings, city, county council meetings, ask questions. There's certainly money in there for our small business community. There's money in there for other efforts, as stated earlier, seniors, money for housing. You all know what your needs are in your community better than anyone. Make sure your voice is at the table and you have some type of contributions that you can make. The City of Columbia, we are working diligently trying to get money out there to our communities. We have assessed the small business needs. We did another survey to see where everyone's at, and we still see that there's money that's still needed for operational purposes for many of our small businesses, mainly our minority businesses. So please make sure you have your voices heard and that you attend your council meetings, your local meetings, and hear how they're planning on spending those dollars.
Ms. Lindler, we appreciate the work from the City of Columbia. I do wonder if there are any additional funds for small businesses through the American Rescue Plan, and how people because a number of our families at Columbia Housing have small businesses. And sometimes we don't think about those micro businesses if you, I don't know, sell Mary Kay, you know?
Right now, the City of Columbia, we have the City of Columbia City Council leadership. We have about $6 million that's left. They've already allocated or, stated how they're going to spend the rest of those dollars. So small businesses is a list of about probably about 5 or 6 other areas that they're looking at and how to allocate those dollars. We also have some other requests in for some additional federal dollars to go for microloans for those small businesses that are operating in the homes. Don't forget your Women's Business Center at Benedict College. They're there to help you put your loan packages together. They're there to help you identify resources, especially for our women of color owned businesses here in our state. But yes, there's a lot of money in the American Rescue Plan for our small business community, and especially those small micro businesses that many people don't think that you'll ever have a bricks and mortar storefront, but it's possible. It's possible if the resources, if you can get your hands on those resources, and if you have someone to direct you to how to access those dollars. So again, the City of Columbia, we're here. The Women's Business Center, they're there. No question is irrelevant. All questions are good questions, and the dollars are taxpayer dollars. We want you to have access to those funds and ask questions and make sure your voices are heard.
Ms. Javis.
Lee, next slide. All right, as we were talking about earlier about childcare. So under the American Rescue Plan, the plan provides direct support to families to ensure that low and middle income families spend no more than 7% of their income on childcare, and that childcare that they receive is of high quality, not just dropping off at anywhere and your children are not safe while you're going to work. It has to be of high quality as well. Next slide.
Kadena, before you move on, I'd like to share this information about the child care. We have information on our website. It's on the front page of our website where the child care, some of the child care resources have gone to First Steps. And so they're offering child care services, financial support to pay for children, I think up to 12 years old. Ms. Bean, if you can correct me if I'm misspeaking about the age, but we would certainly like for you to visit our website to take a look at that for the child care.
Awesome, thank you. Next slide. So what does the plan do for the unemployed? The ARP provides additional cash assistance and supplemental federal unemployment benefits. On March 11th of 2021, President Biden signed the ARP into law. And that act is the $1.9 trillion economic relief package intended to address the COVID-19 pandemic. The unemployed can receive $300 in benefits. And that was those dollars I was saying that federally, they are available until September the 4th of 2021. Those dates may change, but as of today, is it still September 4th, Antjuan? And also, I wanted to share, if you did not apply for unemployment and you should have applied for unemployment, you can still apply for unemployment, and you need to use you need to go retroactive to the date that you became unemployed. There are a lot of taxpayers that did not know that they were eligible for the $1.9 trillion that was in this economic plan, especially our gig economy, those that were Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, especially our beauty industry. Some of those did not know. So if you were and did and have not gotten back to work, or your hours have been reduced at some of these salons or wherever you work at, and even with Uber, you know, with COVID, people are not comfortable now just getting in anybody's car. So I've noticed that they are transitioning our clients to like the Uber Eats, where they're going to, you know, either go to the grocery store, DoorDash, versus where they used to make more money picking up people from the airport, picking up people from Fort Jackson. But now a lot of people are not comfortable with COVID. And I know that that'll change as time goes on, as people get vaccinated. But if you did not receive unemployment and you think you should have applied, get denied first. Don't let anybody tell you you don't qualify. You apply, you get denied, okay? Cynthia, we got a question out there? Next slide, Lee.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem, hon.
Sherry said,
okay.
I'm sorry. You
Go ahead. Huh?
I can ask it later.
Okay, we'll go for this one. Do I qualify for the American Rescue Plan? Yes, you do qualify for the American Rescue Plan. If you have to have two qualifications. One, be a U.S. citizen. 2, have a social security number. Those that are in this country with a I-10 number do not qualify for the American Rescue Plan, unless you are married to someone who is a U.S. citizen and they carry you on their tax return and file you. Couples who file jointly, now there is a phase out amount. So everybody didn't get the $1,200. Some people may have said, hey, I got only $567. Well, that may have been because of the income threshold that you fall in. So couples who filed a joint return who had an adjusted gross income of $150,000, over that were not eligible for the payments. It had to be under $150,000. If you filed a head of household tax return, your income could not go over $112,500. And if you were a single taxpayer, your adjusted gross had to be $75,000 or below. AGI is what you may have, an acronym you hear a lot in accounting world. It stands for the adjusted gross income. When you file your tax return and you want to know what your adjusted gross income is, you can look on line 8B, and that will be what your adjusted gross income is. Cynthia?
Yes. You know, we had a number of people to register from across the country for today. And there is someone that says they think their community is being overlooked in West Virginia. And they're wondering if you or Mr. Seawright can recommend someone they can contact there. They also made the point, great training, but the point being made that that this kind of training is not being provided all over the country. And there's, you know, some degree of questioning in our chat box about why more people aren't doing this, to talk about what's in it so everybody knows to go get their money, their benefit.
Antjuan, you got an answer on that one? I'm gonna just say sharing is caring, and everybody doesn't.
Sorry, I keep forgetting I'm on mute, but I would just say to the person asking the question to definitely contact your local elected official office. This is probably a good opportunity, Cynthia, to remind people, not only should we know who those folks are at the state, local, and federal level, but they need to know who we are. And so please do not be afraid to call your local elected officials, whether it's your county commissioner, city council person, state senator, state rep, even your member of Congress, Democrat or Republican. They have an obligation and a responsibility to make certain that you are educated and informed. Because as I learned growing up in the barbershop, what you don't know can hurt you, but what you do know can only help you.
And Cynthia, I'll add to that, a lot of the regulations surrounding the American Rescue Plan, they're still being formalized. So that may also be a reason why we're not seeing more trainings like this. But this right here is amazing. This has been great. Yeah. Thank you.
People have a lot of questions, Kadena, Antjuan.
Oh, let's answer them. Because
Okay.
they'll have this slide, but they won't have us. So I want to get to their question.
Okay. Sherry Tennyson said, that's great what y'all talking about, but we're leaving out children with special needs because some daycares do not accept them. They're not trained for them. And when they get to the age range, say of 12 to 18 in the special needs category, where can they go when parents have to work? And so there's a question on the table about, for kids with special needs, what's in it for them? I think we might need to drill down in that a little bit more, Cherie, so that we can answer that. I'm not sure if Kadena or Melissa or Antjuan have the answer to that. I believe there's something in there, but I just don't know exactly what that answer would be.
Well, Cynthia, as far as children with disabilities, from an accounting standpoint, I know I have a lot of taxpayers who receive Social Security SSI for their disabled children. So it may be a situation, if you have a disabled child, that you need to go on ssa.gov and apply for disability for your child, as well as talk to your pediatrician and your social worker. And if your child is in public school, and I know there are also private schools that cater to children with special needs. Those are some resources that you need to talk to a counselor. But definitely ssa.gov. If your child is disabled, I have taxpayers every year bring in those statements where their children are receiving $5,000 to $7,000 additional in income because their parents need to and have to have extra care. So that $5,000 to $7,000 that that child receives, I'm sure that those parents, that is extra income that they're working, but their child receives a check and they're able to utilize those funds to, if they have to get extra care for that child. So I would start with the Social Security Administration. If your child has been diagnosed, prognosed with a disability, and if they're in public school, there are all kind of resources that the public school I know personally handles because I had a child who we had to put in public school because my private school institution told me, Ms. Javis, we don't have the resources that your son needs. And so I respected that, and she was right, and we put him in public school, and he got what he needed, and he's in mainstream classes. BabyNet was something else that my son had, and they gave us the resources and the contacts at our, county, Richland County Social Service Office. So whatever county she's in, I recommend that she get with a social worker as well as ssa.gov and apply for disability for her child. She needs the extra financial resources.
Ms. Javis, I'll also say I serve on the board for Family Connection of South Carolina, and we assist families that have a child with a disability or special need. We're a statewide organization. I've been on that board for 10 plus years now, and I can just tell you a lot of federal programs and money that have come down for children with disability and special needs, they flow through our organization. So please, ma'am, please, sir, govern yourself accordingly, and please reach out to Family Connection of South Carolina if you're not already working with them. They can provide you in the direction with some resources.
I knew there were resources. I knew there were. Where? There are folks that really want to know more about the child tax credit in general, and how do you know if you're eligible?
All right, so next slide, Lee. All right, so I'm going to answer that question. So the child tax credit, that is the hot topic right now in everybody's household. July 15th, those Biden bucks gonna start rolling in again, up to $3,600. So if you have a child who is age 6 and younger, you should receive $300 for each dependent. If that child is, ma'am, per month from July to December of 2021. So that is able, you can budget that in your income, them government, almost like Social Security and them military checks. You can take it to the bank. You're going to start getting them July 15th through December of 2021. If the child is age 6 and older, up to the age of 17, it's reduced by $50. So it's going to be $250 per dependent. And so the eligibility, again, we had in the previous slide where your income, where you fall in the income, because there is a phase out. If you make $75,000 or more, then you will not, it's a phase out because you're not considered in the low or middle to income with it. You don't fall below in the poverty level to receive them. Mm-hmm. You had a question come through?
Yeah, the people want to know, okay, that's the eligible part, but like, okay, if I have children, will the money just start showing up in my account? And how does the federal government know to send me the money?
All right, so you have to file a 2020 tax return to get those funds in 2021 for the child tax credit. If you do not have, if you're one of those taxpayers that do not have to file taxes because you're on Social Security or you're disabled or you just don't make enough income, then you have to do the non-filer tax return with, well, in this case, you're going to do an actual tax return because you got to have those dependents on there so that the government knows who the dependents belong to and where the money should go to. So that is how you're going to be eligible to receive those funds come July 15th. You need to file a 2020 tax return. And it doesn't have to be money on it. You don't have to have a W-2 or 1099. You get with a professional accountant. We know the forms that need to be sent into Treasury to make sure that, and also if you have a bank account, those funds can go direct deposit. And they're mailing out checks, and they're also putting them on plastic debit cards for those who are not, yes, if they are non-bank client, everybody doesn't have a bank account. They should, but those who don't, they'll receive those debit cards with the money, and you keep that debit card. You're not going to get a debit card every month, but because your money is going to be loaded on that card every month, just like the PEBT card that went out. You don't throw those cards away because they're going to be loading those funds for the food on those cards all through the summer.
So Kadena, if
Yes,
I
ma'am.
2020 and I have 4 children, and I have 4 children varying ages, if I did that, I don't have to do anything else. Just sit pretty and wait, and the money should show up.
That is it. Yes, ma'am. You got to file that 2020 tax return, and starting July 15th, President Biden already said it's going to be July 15th that the payments will start going out. Direct deposit is the fastest. If you don't have a bank account, I suggest you go to the bank and open up one, because that's going to be the fastest way. Snail mail, everybody's seeing how the Postal Service is not hiring extra people. They're forcing people into retirement because technology. We're not writing and mailing letters anymore. We're not writing checks and mailing bills anymore. So there's less need for manpower at the Postal Service. So direct deposit is the way to go, and it's the fastest and the safest.
Okay. We want to thank Natasha Pauling for this comment. This is really great for the sharing of the information. She says children from 0 to 5 with disabilities can receive services from Head Start. They are specifically equipped to provide services for children who might have mental or physical challenges as well. So that's really great information for our families to know about. What happens if you mail the tax return in? I'm not sure what that's connected to.
Again, I said earlier that snail mail, Postal Service, and the Treasury, manpower. It will take you, it may be Christmas. I'm just going to put that out there because we've actually mailed off amendments, and it's been 9 months before they got processed by Treasury, by the IRS.
Oh, wow.
So if I were you, if you have to mail it, we are advising our clients, we're advising them, pay the $6 to send it certified. At least that'll give you, put your mail on the top. It won't just be with a 55-cent, just generic regular mail. If you send it certified, that means somebody has to sign for it. And then you know that it's kind of at the top of the list, but it still will take longer if you mail it versus filing electronically.
Ms. Javis, Joan Blackwell is asking, why did they cut off at age 17 when those students were still in your home and were dependent? My daughter didn't get the second stimulus.
Well, that is where we need to go. Antjuan, I say again, that's where we need to go to our elected officials, because I feel like it should have maybe been 18, not 17, but that was where that was the law that Congress passed, that the cutoff was at age 17.
Ms. Goodwin is asking about the non-filers return, that paperwork for the non-filers. A lot of people are interested in that. A lot of people didn't know they could get the stimulus if they had not filed their taxes. And then some people are wondering if they owe student loans, if they take that money.
But that's why we're here today. Literacy, we're educating everyone, sharing the word that you can get your money. We don't want you to leave this money on the table. Now, I will say the first stimulus of $1,200 that went out, I guess they didn't have time to cut off the Treasury offset department. If you had child support, student loans, or any billing agencies that had your social security number that you owed a debt to. So they didn't catch it the first time. And then that's when Congress came up with the recovery rebate credit form. So if they took your $1,200 because of back child support or whatever debt, then when you file your 2020 tax return, you are able to get that $1,200 back. Okay, so if you did not get it because they took it, then you are able to get it back. But no, the second one, we saw where they were not taking it. I guess they fixed the computer system, and the 1,400, because we had taxpayers who was coming by and they was thanking us, and you know, they've never gotten a refund, where they know they would never get a tax refund. They still taking tax refunds, but they are not taking stimulus checks for offsets or debt that you owe.
Okay.
How could you stimulate the economy?
Mhm.
I mean, that would be defeating the purpose. You couldn't stimulate the economy if you're taking the stimulus payments. But now your income tax return, that's excluded. But your stimulus, and like I say, if they took the first one, then you're able to recover it when you file your 2020 taxes.
Latarsha Giles is asking, how can a small business owner find out if they're eligible for unemployment? Melissa, Kadena, Antjuan? Small business owner find out if they're eligible for unemployment. Are we mixing two things?
Well, I think they need to go to the DW website. There are specifics there, and I'll let them also chime in. But there are specific guidelines that you need to go by through the Department of Employment and Workforce. Yes. Mm-hmm. So they certainly need to go there. There are stipulations, but you may be eligible for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you won't know if you don't apply. So you need to apply. And like Ms. Lindler said, the Department of Employment Workforce, which we know it as DEW. So just Google DEW in your state, and their agency should come up, and you need to apply and answer the questions that are applicable to you, and you'll get a approval or denial, or they may want some additional information for you to submit.
Okay. Cherie Tennyson said, it's a silly question, but I don't think so. She said, is there any money in the American Rescue Plan for someone who wants to start a daycare, something centered around special needs? Is there anything out there for people who are entrepreneurial in spirit and may want to pursue some entrepreneurial pursuits?
I will say this, there is money at SBA, at the Small Business Administration, for those kind of programs, for those type of opportunities. The one thing about this administration, this president, he has prioritized the people who literally voted him into office, and that means assisting Black and brown people and minority businesses. So there are tremendous opportunities at SBA to do a number of things, whether it's enhance your business, whether it's to grow your business, or whether it's to start a business. So I would definitely reach out to the South Carolina SBA, I'm sorry, not South Carolina, the Small Business Association. There are 3 South Carolinians who have been appointed by the president who actually work at the agency. So we're so proud and we're thankful at the same time. And so because of that, we can figure out how to navigate what we need to navigate to help people.
And I'll just add, one of the things that you can do, or one of the eligible activities that local governments can do, is actually assist our small business community. So through the American Rescue Plan. So again, make sure your local representative and you need to be an advocate. But
begging for everything. If you got pizza, 2 slices of pizza. What's next?
There is money available through the American Rescue Plan for small businesses. There's a lot of money there, but it's up to us to make sure that your voices are heard. And as Antjuan stated, make sure you're contacting your local representatives, state, federal representatives, to know that this is something that you want to do in your community. Local governments, the money that they're getting in can be used to support our small businesses. And I will state this also, there's money in there directly stating funds should be used to help our socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. So again, that's our brown and Black communities. We have to actually be advocates and you have to be informed, but yes, there is money there.
And Melissa, I'll just follow up on what I said earlier, because I think it's important. Just because you go to vistaprint.com and print a business card does not qualify you for assistance in some of these programs. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row in terms of your licenses, your certificates, certifications, whatever it is you need for your business. Make sure you have LLC, bank
Mhm.
accounts, EIN numbers, because all those things are going to be required and asked for in order to get assistance, whether at the state, local, or federal level, when it comes to small business.
That's exactly right. So just because the resources are there, you may or may not be ready to actually access those dollars. That's okay. That's okay. I think that there's going to be money that comes down the pipe, hopefully, in the near future, additional dollars. But Antjuan, you're right. You have to have your ducks in the row. So just because the money's there doesn't necessarily mean you qualify if you're not an active, vital business. And I will say this, when you're going after these federal dollars, there are a number of people that went after PPP loans. The federal government now, the IRS, is looking at those recipients, and they're checking. So be careful. Be honest with whatever information you submit. And I'm sure this was shared earlier, because they will find you and they want to make sure that you're an actual business and the information that you submitted is accurate and it's correct. So just some information, but there are a number of resources. If you need assistance or direction with starting your business, please come contact our office, come by. If you want to actually, you don't want to come here, you want to go somewhere else, there are a number of different resources available, but we are here. The Benedict College Women's Business Center is actively there to help people. The South Carolina Small Business Development Centers are here to serve as a resource, and SBA's there. And if you go to SBA's website, there's a number of great resources there on their website. You go to our website, www.columbiasc.gov/OBO, a number of resources there, all related to, helping you start, grow, or expand your business. So the resources are there. You don't actually have to act in haste, though, to access them. Make sure you have your ducks in a row.
Gotcha.
Thank you, everyone.
There's another question on the table about nonprofits. I'm interested, Melissa, to know if OBO treats nonprofits in the very same way it does as small businesses in terms of assistance. And the participant, Vanessa, is asking, how can nonprofits be helped? And so, Melissa, if you could go first, then Antjuan,
Sure.
and then Kadena.
Sure. Again, nonprofits serve a critical need in our community. We recognize that at the City of Columbia, there may be additional dollars for nonprofits through the City of Columbia to provide additional assistance to our community members. Our nonprofits have their hand on the pulse. And as someone stated earlier, Biden understands this. He has nonprofits throughout the American Rescue Plan. Again, you must go to your local representatives, county representatives, and make sure that they know what your needs are and they understand the great work that you're doing. Sometimes we think that people know what we're doing and we're so busy doing the work, we often don't share what our successes have been or the type of work that we do with others. So you have to make sure your voices are heard. But yes, we will at OBO provide assistance to you. That's not something we usually do, but we have people here, myself being one, that's worked at nonprofits before. So we can certainly direct you and assist you. And if we can't help you, someone else, we certainly can find someone else that can.
And
I just want to mention to
Melissa, Melissa, let me say what I said about the business standpoint, because I've been in this situation before. Just because you call yourself a nonprofit does not mean the government considers you a nonprofit.
That's exactly right. Preach.
And a nonprofit and a 501c3 tax exempt organization are also two different things. So I'm gonna keep reiterating, make sure you have your paperwork at the Secretary of State's office and make sure you're legit, because if you're a nonprofit 501c3, that means you have to have a governing board with regular meetings, etc. You need, the mission statement, you need articles of incorporation, you need all these things. And so it's so important. You may be doing good work in the community. Nobody would doubt that, and people may be giving you money, but that doesn't make you legal standing or in good legal standing with the state or federal government. And in order to qualify for these dollars, you have to be in good legal standing and up to date with your paperwork and your meetings and your financials, and make sure your financial bill of health, all that stuff have to be in place in order for you to get some of the money that is trickling down to us.
And the same thing holds true with this business sector. You're exactly right. Thank you.
And I'm going to add on the accounting piece. You do not put your nonprofit income on your 1040. Your nonprofit does not go on a Schedule C. Your nonprofit organization files its own tax return, which is called a 990. Well, and if you make $250,000 or less, you can do a 990 EZ. You can do a 990 postcard, but you do not put your nonprofit on your Schedule C. That was a roadblock for a lot of people. As you said, Antjuan, they're doing good works in the community, but they I don't know, went to LegalZoom or went to Google or somewhere, but they did not seek out a professional accountant to see what entity structure that they needed to be. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves over here at Javis Financial Services. We're going to make sure that we are clear with you. We're going to be concise with you, and you're going to be compliant with your business, and you're going to have the necessary paperwork when it comes to applying for these loans and these stimulus and these grants and PPP and EIDL. And the government knows when you apply for a tax ID number, there's a date on there. So that's why they have dates on. You had to be in business by February 15th of 2020 or 2019. So when they heard that other people were getting these loans, they went out there on irs.gov, got them a free EIN number. Oh, I'm in business. No, you, like you say, Antjuan, they ordered cards from Vistaprint. I'm in business. No, it is more to it than just ordering. Is more to it than the business cards, and it's more to it than just the EIN number as well. So please seek out consultation on how you need to be in compliance if you are strategically have a nonprofit and you out in the community doing good work. I mean, like you said, Melissa, we need to know about it.
Yep, we need to know about it. And I just want to, just reiterate something that you just said, and I don't want anyone to shy away from their business. We have a lot of innovation in our communities. We have a whole lot of innovative people. We can take a little bit of something and make something huge, right? So yes, for those small business owners that are doing hair in your homes or nails in your homes, you have a talent, you have a skill. Come let us show you how to be a very operable, legal business. It's okay to be a vital business that's making profits. It's a good thing, because when you make profits, people invest in you. It shows that your business is a success. So don't be afraid to step out and start that business. Please contact us. We'll help you do it. But you definitely need to have all your papers in order.
So Kadena, you've got 5 minutes, and I know you have 6 slides. So give us your highlights.
All right. For the landlords that work with the housing authority, Ms. Ivory Matthews, I know that some of them have, they don't have this problem of collecting, because housing authority makes sure their bills are paid on the 1st of the month or the 5th of the month. I have clients who, I get to process the 1099 rents forms from you all, and they love working with housing authority because you all never miss a beat, and then they're able to make their payments. But for those clients who do not work with the agency such as yours, the ARP provided $2.2 million in emergency rental assistance to families to help them pay for rent and utilities. And if you are a landlord, don't be afraid to assist your tenant, because they may not know, or they just don't have the tenacity to know. And so they're thinking that, well, I'll just wait till this all blows over and maybe I won't get put out, because now they know that they can't get evicted. But no, don't be afraid. Get those application forms. There's $1 billion out there to homeowners for those mortgage payments, and there's $1 billion in homelessness assistance, including the emergency housing vouchers. Next slide. Does unemployment count as taxable income? Do I have to file a 1099-G? Yes. If you received unemployment in 2020, then DEW, the Department of Employment and Workforce, sent you a 1099-G. Hopefully and prayerfully you had some taxes withheld from it. But if you did not, then Biden, after we started filing taxes on March 24th, he clarified that the first $10,200 was going to be non-taxable. That was a game changer. And us accountants was like, oh my gosh, we got to do amendments. But thankfully, the treasurer said, nope, you don't have to do the amendments. They're going to make the corrections. So actually, last week we had a client who called to say that they received like a check for $300 something. That was her check because of the non-taxable portion of her unemployment income. So yes, you have to file those income documents to ensure your eligibility to receive your stimulus payments as well. Next slide. What happens if I don't get all 3 stimulus payments? We talked about this. If you did not get the first or second, don't worry. There's a recovery rebate credit form, but you have to file in 2021 for the tax year of 2020 to receive the first or the second. And then by filing your 2020 tax return, the third stimulus of $1,400 should be processed after you file. And that'll be, you'll see on the screen that line 30 of the 1040 is where that recovery rebate credit, where you would put how much you received. And if it was not the full $1,200, like I said, if you got partial payment, then you will get the rest of it when you file the 2020 tax return. And a lot of people have filed January, February, March, still have not received their tax return. One of the reasons could have been the government issued you your $1,200, your $600, but you moved and you did not change your address, or it went to another address, or it got lost. So in the treasuries, in the system, is saying your social received this money, but you reported on your tax return to your accountant, or you did it on TurboTax and said, no, I did not. That is why you have not received your tax return, because the social security number is not lining up with the information that was received. It's going to take some time. And I'm going to tell you, it's a manual process, but the payment trace number is on the screen. It's 800-919-9835, or you can go to irs.gov/getmypayment. If you were issued the stimulus payments via mail or direct deposit, you may have closed that bank account. That bank sends the money back to the IRS. Then the IRS waits on you to call them because it's your money. They're not going to track you down. So give that phone number a call if you fall into that category. Next slide, Lee. Who are classified as dependents? As we said, a dependent is a person other than the taxpayer who is entitled to be claimed as a dependent on a tax return. Each dependent exemption decreases your taxable liability that is subject to income tax. Qualifying children can be up to age 24 if they are a full-time student for at least 5 months of the year. 26 years is cut off to carry them on your health insurance. And then it can be any age if that dependent is disabled. So those are who qualifies as a dependent on your tax return.
Okay.
Next slide. And who qualifies for that dependent care credit for those dependents who are filed on your tax return is anyone, if you pay someone or a facility to care for your dependents who are not able to care for themselves, you qualify for up to 35% of those expenses. To qualify, you must be working or looking for work. Dependents under the age of 13 or a disabled individual. So if you do not have any taxable income and you file that you paid $3,000 for dependent care, you will not get any credit because you have to be working or looking for work. And there is a cutoff of up to $600 for the dependent care credit. But again, those child tax credit payments will start going out July 15th. So if you have not filed a tax return, please file a tax return soon. Do it electronically and have a bank account. Next slide. When will the advanced child tax payments start going out? We talked about they will start July 15th. And the credit will be issued to children who turn 17 in 2021. It's going to be $3,000 per qualifying child between the ages of 6 and 17, $3,600 per qualifying child under age 6 by 12/31/2021. The prior law, it was only $2,000. So it's now $3,600 and $3,000. Again, if your income is above the amounts listed on the screen, then it's going to phase out and you do not qualify. You have to have your main residence in the USA. The advance payments will be estimated from your 2020 tax return. If you have not filed the 2020 tax return, they will use your 2020. But if I was anybody that had dependent children, I would go ahead and get that 2020 so they would have your latest address and income on file. Electronically file those taxes with direct deposit, speed up your refunds, as well as any future advance payments, because we don't know what other payments and credits will come in the future. Now, the taxpayer can decline the child tax credit. I don't know who would do that, but they can decline it. And some people want their money in January. They may want it in a lump sum. They may not want it broken down into $300 per month. Additional information will be shared on our social media platforms. The only other thing I say too about not accepting the money every month, January 2022 is not promised to none of us, and we have to take care of our children every day. So I think that President Biden, this is a wonderful thing. And I do remember that I used to file a W-5, I believe, to get earned income credit in advance. So it just depends on how you budget your household. I was not a person who wanted a big tax refund at tax time because I needed my funds to budget along the year. So I feel like that's going to come back. They phased that form out, but I feel like it's going to come back because that was in like 1998. Next slide, Lee. All right, so we got through questions. Cynthia?
Well, this is a good time to call for closing comments from Melissa, and then from Antjuan, and from you, and then we turn it back over to our CEO, Mrs. Matthews.
All right. Thank you
Melissa,
again for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Cynthia. And thank you, Ms. Matthews, also for putting this webinar on. This has been amazing. To my fellow panelists, you all are amazing, as you already know. Love always hearing from you guys. If there's anything that we can do to assist you here at the City of Columbia for your small business, let us know. Or if you're thinking about having a small business, let us know. Remember to step out, take risks. When it comes to, promoting your businesses, we want to hear about it. We want to help you. We're here. Also, if you're a nonprofit, if you need some assistance, let us know. Again, it's not something that we usually do, but we'll be more than happy to direct you if there's a question that you have that we cannot answer. The last thing I would just like to encourage you to do again is reach out to your local representatives and state and federal representatives. Let them know what your needs are. You have a voice. You need to be an advocate for yourself as well. But we're here to help you. If there's anything we can do, just let us know. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Melissa. Mr. Seawright?
Well, I'll start by saying thank you to all of you who put this together. When I use the word consequential, it's because I really mean it. And if there's not anything we all should know, is that there's so many things in the system that will benefit us, but if we don't access those things, then it won't ever benefit us. And so, Cynthia, I hope this is maybe the first, but certainly not the last, as the government keeps implementing change and new programs and new opportunities exist. I hope we keep having these conversations. And Ms. Javis, I hope you keep on joining Cynthia for these conversations, because I think you, being the professional you are, can add background color that not a lot of people can. And certainly to Melissa Lindler, my dear friend, thank you for what you're doing to help elevate and encourage entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
Thank you, Antjuan.
Kadena, go ahead with your close, and then we will turn it back over to the boss, Mrs. Matthews.
All right. To the audience, please share. Please share. When you say, the other counties and cities and states are not having these conversations, share this video with them to let them know, hey, South Carolina is doing it. Cynthia Hardy and Ivory Matthews in South Carolina, this is wonderful, this platform, sharing with our communities. What you don't know will hurt you, as Antjuan said. And I know that there are some taxpayers who are they receive cash. My carpenters, my electricians, they like to stay under the radar. They don't want to pay taxes. Well, hey, mattress money don't get you no money. And at some point in time, you're going to become 65 years of age. You're gonna want to get on, have a Social Security check come in, and you're gonna want to get on Medicare. And 0 plus 0 equals what, panel? 0. So now is a good time. Go ahead, let's start filing those tax returns, even if you have to file a non-filer tax return, so that we don't leave none of these funds on the table that President Biden has provided for us with his American Rescue Plan. I want to thank you, Ms. Ivory Matthews, the Columbia Housing Authority, for all that you and Ms. Bean will continue to do under your administration. And Cynthia, you know you're dear to my heart, as we are always on point with Cynthia Hart.
Ms. Bean, do you want to say anything before I hand it over to Ms. Matthews?
Yes, thank you, Cynthia. And I'd just like to thank everyone for attending on this evening. I learned so much. I have notes that are plentiful, as I'm sure you all do too. So great information. Thank you all again for participating and for sharing your knowledge and not thinking it's selfish to share all of this wisdom with us on this evening. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Mrs. Matthews. And
Thank you
for the opportunity to serve in this capacity, Ms. Matthews.
Oh, thank you. I would like to take this time to just thank each and every one of you for your sincere interest in today's workshop. I hope that you all found it as informative as I did. You know, when I first heard Miss Kadena and Antjuan and Melissa Lindler appearing on local and national news shows, and I realized that they could teach us a lot about money matters and benefits due to the federal government benefits from the American Rescue Plan and ways to maximize our participation in some of these activities. I knew that we had to have all of you on a virtual workshop. You guys are real jewels to our community, and we cannot thank you enough for the information that you've shared. Special thanks to our communications team for their efforts in planning and executing today's workshop. And also a special thanks certainly to my staff. We have a wonderful team of individuals, and also to our Board of Commissioners for their support in everything that we do. Before I close, I would like to put a plug in. We do have another virtual workshop that's coming up. It's a community-wide conversation on Vision 2030. As most of you may or may not have heard, over the next 5 to 10 years, Columbia Housing will be looking to reposition its entire portfolio, public housing, offering just a renewed energy around quality, affordable housing. And we have a repositioning plan that's anticipated to be more than $500 million economic infusion in the Midlands. And so we're having that workshop on June 2nd via Zoom. We do have information available on our website. For all of you who registered and attended today's meeting, you'll also receive a personal invite to that workshop as well. Again, thank you. And remember, we are still battling the COVID-19 pandemic. So wear your mask. Please get vaccinated and follow all of the healthcare protocols that are out there. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you on June 2nd. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.